Professor Sudipta Ghosh, Professor of Metallurgy and Material Science at IIT Kharagpur, a doctorate from IIT Kanpur, MTech and PhD both from IIT Kanpur. He worked as scientist in Tata Research and Development Design Center, Pune, currently professor in the Department of Metallurgical Sciences at IIT Kharagpur. His specialization is in computational material science, modification science, deformation behavior of materials, and storage materials. He has guided several doctoral students and published more than 50 research papers in international journals. But above all, Professor Sudipta Ghosh is a bhakta and a serious devotee of the Lord and very closely associated with Bhakti Vedanta Institute. In fact, he is one of the strongest mentor of the institute as far as I know. Professor Ghosh, please, on physics and God.
So, you can see the topic. So, what is the meaning of actually this subject? What this physics does actually is, like you see these numbers, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8 to 13, So, you have a big number of information. You are having large number of information. And what you do is, you just try to put it in a, nutshell few statements. So, this basically what we do here is, a large amount of information is there and we try to put them in few mathematical statements. That is what I understand actually is the physics or physical science. And when we study the physical nature, there are actually two important aspects. One is the direct observation domain, where we are like pendulum, we can directly see or we can actually observe the stars moving. But there is also a domain of reality which is beyond our perception. Like, there is no direct observation like atom, electrons, molecules, crystal structure and so on. So, it is only a kind of inference, there is no direct, like we detect the plane by radar. So, we are having some kind of detection system, but we do not have any direct observation. Now, God is actually, there can be many dictionary meanings, but sometimes dictionary also defines him as supreme person, supreme being, supreme intelligence, and then perfect control over everything, supreme beauty and so on. And like what is Swamiji's talk actually, so I like what Swamiji said actually, that God is a person, is also not a person, he has form, he is also infinite, he is also formless. So, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one of the greatest philosophers in the last many thousand centuries and spiritual revolutionaries, actually he is a revolutionary. So he actually gave this philosophy Achintya Bheda Ved. Achintya means it is inconceivable and Bheda Ved means, simultaneously separate and, Abheda, different from us. And this thing actually, so some say he has form, some say he is formless. So like you know this, what is this message conveying? So it is actually everything, but with our limited understanding, it becomes Achintya. Now here, like we have an interview Dr. T.D. Singh took with Charles Townes and William Phillips. Both are Nobel laureates in physics. He is the inventor of actually measures, strictly speaking, and got Nobel Prize for that. And they are saying that God is a person. So there can be various opinions. Now how is physics in harmony with God, this idea of God? This is the first part, and how it is in disharmony. That is the second part actually of my talk. Now a very interesting thing is, this world is actually mathematical. Like in the classical domain, you are following a differential, second order differential equation, and this governs, along with the third law, and first law is there for defining the inertial frame. So this actually dictates. And even a stone is following, actually it is a mathematical world. It is moving, everything is mathematically moving. And it's very consistent with the idea of God, because it actually indicates the presence of a supreme mathematician behind. And even the quantum mechanical laws, And this is a very beautiful, picture by Professor Roger Penrose. So he is saying there is a mathematical world. There is a world of mathematics actually, and all kind of equations, and everything there may not be having a physical counterpart. So this is the physical world, and we are actually in these two. We also live in the mental world. So very interesting. So he says only a part of mathematical world has a direct representation in the physical world. It's very interesting. Like imaginary number, for example, you don't have a direct, physical representation there. So fine tuning, which Professor Singh told about, this is also a kind of, the idea is very, very consistent with the existence of God. Okay. So like Professor Penrose says that it's like somebody has monkeyed with the physical constants. There are 24 physical constants. Now, this nature, we have some physical laws, that is okay. I mean, in the physics book we study this kind of system, we can solve it. But if you are asked to actually solve, this can also fall, But if you have to actually calculate how this rock is actually going to fall, I mean, do we have the tools for doing that, or do we have this memory which is required? And the computation, the computer memory, which was, like yesterday Professor Vikram Singh was making a very important point. What is the storage of information? Okay, so how much information you have to actually store if you have to simulate actually that how this stone falls. Just the basic geometry of this. Although you are just solving the Newton's law. I mean, you can solve a particle in a box for a quantum mechanical equation, these simple kind of things. But if you just talk about a molecule or a multi-electron system, we are gone. And you may not believe, because actually I work in that kind of field. If you have more than one electron system together, you cannot solve the Schrodinger equation, and we are just struggling with all kind of exchange correlations. They are called exchange. I mean, you need those kind of things for density functional calculations. And if you take a real kind of system, I mean, these are all cluster of atoms. It's impossible actually. It's impossible. And the kind of geometrical complexity at every level, there is an order, but we really have not able to discover that order. Now, this idea is also very consistent with God, because if God is there, then it has actually infinite intelligence. It's very important because the information that is stored in the whole universe, and if something is behind it, it must have more information. Otherwise, there is a self-referentiality coming in. And of course, this is also very consistent, because when you see the universe, you start from subatomic world, then molecule, then earth, and what Professor Vikram Singh was showing actually, the clusters of galaxies, and you move across. So and really that makes us very difficult, because all these length scales are connected. How the electrons behave, that decides how the two atoms are interacting. How the atoms are interacting, that decides how the solid or the liquid, what is the viscosity of the liquid. So it's connected. Totally from top to down it is connected. And interestingly, physics, our laws are only bottom up. It's not top down. We don't say that the thermodynamic laws decides how the atoms are interacting, and that decides how the electrons are behaving. You always start from how the electrons and the nucleus interact, and how the molecules are behaving, and how the macroscopic object is behaving. We move like this. So this is a very interesting observation we must make. Now, this is also something very interesting, and there the concept of God and the physics, and they are actually very much in harmony. And this is the concept of non-locality and quantities without direct physical counterpart. This is very important, because this is actually what inspired Schrodinger. If you look at the biography of Schrodinger, he was actually very much into Vedantic and Ishopanishad concept. He was basically very much inspired by Advaita Vedanta. And his biographer, Mr. Moore actually, he is writing that his whole concept of Advaita Vedanta, he actually translated into the mathematical form in his wave mechanics. Actually, his quantum mechanics, in other words, came from the Vedanta. This is very important, and we'll just explain you how. In classical picture, we think about electron in this way, there is a particle. But in quantum mechanics, there is nothing like that. There is nothing like that. It's just some kind of a field which we call the wave function, and it's defined over entire universe. The wave function is defined over entire universe. It's not a physical quantity, first place. It is not a magnetic field. It is not electric field. It is not a gravitational field. It's actually a complex number. It doesn't have a physical counterpart. So in a way, the idea that you have a Brahman and you have a physical world is actually, that is the inspiration actually. So non-locality means something is everywhere. Okay. And the particle nature manifests when you make the measurement. That is the actual quantum mechanics. Okay. Now this aspect ratio, so like one example is the plane wave. If you take a plane wave function, it is everywhere and it has a unique momentum. The electron has a unique momentum, but you can find it anywhere in the universe with the same probability. Okay. And the non-locality thing actually, I mean, I'm not going to details of that. There is Bell's inequality, and we had in 1982 this aspect ratio actually, aspect experiment. You have a source of 2 photons here, and it goes through something, and then you actually check both of them here. And what it shows actually that 2 photons at different total location, there is a non-local connection between that. This experiment actually establishes that. So this idea is very much consistent with in physics. So we saw that what are the points of harmony. Now let us say where physics is not compatible with the idea of God. This is very important. And here the idea of impersonal God and personal God also plays a very important role. Okay. And we'll see, especially I will talk in the context of the personal God and how it is becoming incompatible with the modern physics. Where? Exactly which point? So, and this here is a very important point, and I'll come to this, that everything, what we observe is actually in the physical world cannot be represented by simple real number. That is very important. We have a lot of observations. We have a consciousness and we observe colors, we observe different sounds, we have different emotions, and also we observe length, mass, time. These are also our observations. Essentially everything is within us and it is our observation. Now how you reject some of the observations and how you accept some of the observations, that is something very questionable. And if you do like that, because you are saying the same consciousness, some of the observations you will say, no, this is not in the domain of science. Some of the observations you are saying is in the domain of science. And how you are defining that? The ones which you can put in the form of a real number, you are saying that this can be, yes, this can be defined as within science, and that we are not able to put it in the form of real number, you are putting it outside the domain of physics. So here Niels Bohr gives a very interesting statement. We can find nothing in physics or chemistry that has even remote bearing on consciousness, yet all of us know that there is such a thing as consciousness simply because we have it ourselves. Hence consciousness must be part of nature, or more generally of reality, which means that quite apart from the laws of physics and chemistry, as laid down in quantum theory, we must also consider laws of quite different kind. So this is very, very important actually. Second thing, as I was talking, that all the laws of physics, they are actually bottom-up laws. That means, strictly speaking, if you have to behave, you say, see the behavior of the thermodynamics behavior, if you want to talk about it, you have to start from the electrons and the nucleus. You have to start from there and then come to the thermodynamic property of the solid. So it's not like the other way around. So you see this process, simple process. You know, you just wanted, there are some fishes in the pond and you wanted to play with them, you take a stone and you throw at them. Okay. Now you decided it and you gave the command to your body, so that will be the top-down way. But actually the bottom-up way is analyze the body, water, stone by a multi-scale modeling. You start from electrons, you know, and other ways you take into account the consciousness and have a top-down approach. Okay. So first approach is very complex. The second is much simpler and elegant approach. And Einstein always said that praise the second law of thermodynamics just because it was very simple. You know, any very interesting and foundational laws, they are actually very simple. So what I mean to say is that physics actually lacks the top-down kind of laws, and that will be consistent with the idea of God, because when God controls things, then you need a top-down approach. Now a very important thing is personality as irreducible and entailing mechanistic algorithm aspect. That's very important. Now see, to just, you know, in a very simple word, I am a human being, I am a personality, but I can act as a robot. I can act and following a differential equation. I can move my hands following some f as a function of x, like Swamiji was telling. But there are some other personal traits inside me which a robot cannot do. I can act as a robot, but robot cannot act as myself. And as Niels Bohr was telling, we need some different kinds of laws. And we have to come out of this domain of real number and differential equation. Even in you know, in the recent times, this like the cellular automata, if you read this Wolfram's famous book, A Different Kind of Science, you know, we have to come out actually and think beyond that. And we need different kind of laws, that is very important. And they are very precise. Like what I mean is now, like let us take this example, like you have a color combination. You have red and you have yellow and that gives orange, let's say. I mean that's a very precise kind of thing. You are not expressing any real number there. But you are actually combining the states. That's what exactly we also do in cellular automata. We need not have any arithmetic kind of rule. Okay. You have two personalities and when they come closer, there is going to be a certain kind of interaction they are going to have. It's not going to be random. It definitely follows a law, but that law cannot be expressed in the form of a real number. You bring two persons together, maybe two very famous personalities, and when you make them sit together, you can possibly predict what is the kind of, you know, are they going to fight or they are going to become friends. So definitely, so there are laws, but not necessarily expressed in the form of the real number. So I've given this example and, you know, I'll just skip. So what I mean to say, so there are points in physics which are actually very compatible with the idea of God, and also there are some very important aspects which are not compatible with the existence of God. This is very important, and in particular the personal God. So, and those three of them which I pointed out, most important, we have to have top-down kind of laws, and we have to have mathematical structure. And if you had, I mean, Professor Srivastav is no more there. He used to be our regular visitor from you know, Colorado School of Mines. He's a well-known person in statistics, and he passed away actually. So he had many discussion actually. He used to say mathematical structure is something beyond just simply number or complex number or real number. So we need a different kind of a structure. And I would like to conclude with a very famous statement by Schrodinger that, you know, that the modern science, which is primarily coming from the Greek, actually philosophy, must be actually little bit, there should be a, use the word blood transfusion from the Eastern thoughts. That is very, very important. So maybe the future generation, the physical laws and physics will actually come more closer to the idea of God. But there are important aspects in physics which are already indicating the presence of God. Thank you very much. So, Sharma, as a secretary of the conference, I think we must...
Ladies and gentlemen and Bhaktaj, you have seen the relationship between physics and laws, and the Nobel laureate clearly said we need new laws to comprehend consciousness, and through consciousness understand the origin of life. So any questions from you? Want to rub his brain with Professor Sudipta Ghosh?
Maybe during the tea time.
They are saying physics is too simple.
While we are taking the tea break, I think we can have the discussion. Professor Sharma is saying that I was feeling that they are feeling miserable. I was actually feeling miserable because as a speaker, I like to take some time, but as a secretary of the conference, I like to come. So maybe we can have it during the tea actually.
I ask you a question then when no one is asking. Last one, of course.
Yeah.
Why we are looking at physics and God, chemistry and God, mathematics and God? Why not all sciences together as the science of God?
Yeah. Actually, we can say that synthesis of physical science and God. So we are taking different name, physics or mathematics, but they are actually all physical science actually. So when you see at the physical nature, so they are like morning we had this Faraday discussion on Faraday. I mean, he's looking at nature. It can be physics or chemistry. That is our classification actually. Even in engineering now these things are going away because everything is now innovation technology. I mean, and science already, I mean, they actually know, but it's like, you know, an integrated structure, but the physical, study of the physical world. And in our Vedanta, actually, everything was one. If you see the Sankhya philosophy, starting from the soul, existence of living entity, the God, the material elements, everything was actually under one framework. But due to historical reasons, in the black period in Europe and also in India, you know, there was like this religious fanaticism of all kinds of things, Sati Pratha. So what happened, the historical reasons, science and spirituality separated. And so whatever there was problems in religion, the science also did the same thing with all the world wars and the nuclear bomb. So finally now there is everybody is thinking that yes, again we should have this thing integrated for different reasons. So basically they have a symbiotic relation rather than a conflicting relation actually.
When I was a student at the school level, at that time physics, chemistry, mathematics, biology were 4 different compartments. Later on when I became professor at IIT Delhi, they started talking about physics of chemistry, chemistry of physics, mathematics of physics, chemistry of mathematics also they talked.
Mathematical physics
of mathematics.
There is a journal on chemical physics.
Now with the
there is a journal on physical chemistry.
Now with the biotechnology coming in, you are seeing all physics, chemistry, mathematics are rushing towards biotechnology or biological sciences. So this way the integration of science is really taking place in my view. A larger and comprehensive view of God has to emerge from the new laws which we require, which will come by integrating all sciences together and then fine-tuning them into the laws which can be easily understood. Laws by which the Supreme Lord, despite being infinite, can assume a finite form, and from that finite form once again go to the most smallest of the smallest form and disappear into infinite. I mean, so the whole cycle would then be much easier to comprehend, but we have to wait for some more time, it appears to me. But you love physics very much, being a material technologist, is that correct? Right. But materials are also chemistry.
Just physics, chemistry, yeah.
And materials have lot
Actually,
of
material
mathematics in
science came from physics and chemistry both.
Materials have lot of mathematics around them because they are all structured.
It's required.
And they have lot of biology also because I cannot consume iron as a rod. If you give me iron as a piece, I can't chew it. But I can consume biological iron if you give me, for example, spinach or a few vegetables which contain materials. So materials also have all sciences. But I give you physics perhaps is the best friend because people understand it much better than others. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have no other question, Professor Ghosh, you have no question from Professor Ghosh? Any question from Dr. Sudipta Ghosh?
He can ask later.
Professor Ghosh is satisfied. And our mathematician friend, because you really proved the existence of God through mathematics. Any question from Dr. Ghosh? You got over there. At least one question has come from the audience, yeah?
Yeah, there. Maybe we can proceed for the next session. I mean, we'll talk actually. No, you give the mic to him. But
let the young gentleman ask the question.
Sir, don't you think that physics and God was never, this search for physics and God, reality in physics and God was never separated, because if a scientist works, basically the followers of positivist philosophy like Bertrand Russell and all, they always said they are seeking some kind of ultimate truth or ultimate reality. So even if a scientist say that I'm an atheist, but he works in physics to find some kind of ultimate reality or ultimate truth, then he is finding God, but just with a different name. So in Western philosophy, this physics and God was never separated.
I could not follow your question. I'm sorry. I mean, can you explain more?
You said that in Western philosophy, they due to historical reasons, they
historical reasons. Yeah, there were
separated. But physicists actually are unconsciously searching for some kind of ultimate reality or ultimate truth. Their search is for some kind of truth. They want to find the laws of God. And even the church used to say God is logical, and if you find the logics of God, you are indeed working on physics. So it was never separated, and actually they are searching for God only.
No, this segregation was not because of intellectual reasons. There were some, but these are more like social, political, and other kinds of things. Because the religion was primarily in the hand of fanatics actually, and kind of there were more political factors. People were being burned and so many things. Like yesterday, Professor Vikram Singh cited Bruno, right? Bruno was tortured and burned alive actually. Burned to death he was, and he was tortured. It's so much actually, from the religious section. So these are like very, this is not the true form of spirituality or religion. Because any religion, it teaches compassion. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. That is what it is actually.
Professor, there's one more question.
In our traditional intellectual traditions, like Vedantic, Buddhist, see these barriers are not there. These barriers are not there. These are much recent actually. These are man-made actually, yes. These are man-made.
Sir, good morning, sir.
Yeah.
So we say that there is so much uncertainty and randomness in this universe. So are these physical laws an attempt to find order in this randomness, or are we living in a very deterministic world?
Actually, this determinism, the quantum mechanics actually has given up with determinism. Okay, because the evolution of the wave function with time, that is deterministic. But when you actually make the measurements, so you can, for the same wave function, you can get different outcomes. That's the superposition principle. And there are probabilities. Okay, and this is what Einstein did not accept. That's why he said God cannot play dice with the nature. Okay, now, so this is one question, whether probabilistic or deterministic. But even within deterministic, are you able to understand the random structure? That's very interesting. Definitely, like I personally sort of believe that even behind the random structure there is an orderliness, which we are not able to understand. Okay, if the structure within atom is so much organized, why not everything? So if the physical constants are so precisely coming, why not the geometrical arrangements? So my personal belief is that there is an orderliness and we have to discover it. A simple example is like you generate random number in the computer, or you can generate chaotic structure in the computer, but there behind there is a very clear-cut algorithm. So we have to think in that line, and I think the Stephen Wolfram's idea actually, maybe it's appearing to be superior actually. I mean, but that kind of, and we need different kind of laws there also. Okay, or maybe this, if you try to have a top-down kind of thing, maybe that can be helpful actually. So determinism, probability is one question, and this random, like the complexity in the geometry and the arrangement, that is another thing. Can you put it in a simple way? Just like we describe the crystal structure, you take a suppose amorphous, liquid has all kinds of random atomic distribution. Can you express it in terms of some regular periodic geometric arrangement? And it should be possible actually, because if you see like any periodic function, when you split it in the form of, so some kind of, thing may be coming up. I mean, it's a very interesting topic actually.
Ladies and gentlemen, nothing could be better than finishing this session with the prime understanding that we have a long way to go, but the journey has begun. Mathematicians are searching for God, physicists are searching for God. Of course, science and engineering together is searching for God through intelligent design, fine-tuned. The journey should continue. Ishavashtamidam sarvam yat kinchat jagatyam jagat ten tyakten bhunjita ma gradha kasasiddhanam. And therefore, I think all sciences together, in my opinion, would be searching what the elephant looks like. Currently, each one of them is looking at it from its own perspective. And that time is not far off, because now all sciences have begun to work together thanks to microbiology and biosciences. They have compelled us to think in terms of putting all sciences together to resolve the mysteries of microbial sciences, microbial technology, origin of life, of course, included there now. And therefore, we are in a better times. Maybe well before I finish my life, we will have the solution that through science we can identify God, analyze God, comprehend God, visualize God, and even, that's the last one, should not be said, create God, which means we could request Lord Krishna to come on the stage and perform once again his Mayur dance or whatever he wished to recite. That also could be possible. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, and I request you to give a big hand to all the three speakers which we have.
Thank you, Professor Sharma. I request you to kindly present the mementos to all the distinguished speakers. May I now humbly request His Holiness Sri Krishna Mangal Swami from Bhaktivedanta Institute to kindly present the memento to Session Chair Professor P.B. Sharma. Now we will proceed for 10 minutes refreshment outside, and then after we will gather again here. Thank you so much.
হ্যালো 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 মানু ওখানে গিয়ে চেক করতে বলো একটু